Hello again and welcome back to character creation. Today, as you can see from the top, we are going to be building a Dungeons and Dragons character. I'm using the official editable version of the character sheet. You can pick this up at Wizards of the Coast. Link will be in the description, blah blah blah. um, Now, before I start, I am going to show you a few things I do like and don't like about this character sheet. It won't have a lot of impact right now, but it's kind of one of those things. I gotta say it now, and this is pretty much the only time I have a chance. If you look here on the top, you have class and level in this, which they always do, this tiny little box that pretty much is like, yeah, no, you're not gonna cross class. This box is too small for you to write cross class information in. If you also look, you can kind of do a little bit of examining here. As I scroll down the first page, there is no place for you to put your size. I could be wrong. I've looked. You got age, hair, or height, weight, eyes, skin, hair color, spellcasting, blah, blah, blah. But there's no size category. Which, okay, most people are going to know dwarves are medium, gnomes and halflings are small. And that's pretty much all you need to know about your own character, is dwarves are somehow still medium, while gnomes and halflings are small, and pretty much everything else is medium. Unless you're playing a very specific class, such as like a half-giant or something where you're large. But at the same time, especially for new and coming players, being able to look on your character sheet instead of just being like, well, you're expected to know this. For an advanced player, oh, well, you're expected to know humans are a medium-sized creature, is kind of yeah, you could throw that out, but at the same time, well, why should I be expected to know that? Like, humans might be the giants in this world. We don't know. You could be a large-sized human with a with a size modifier due to a magic spell or something. So, like, having something to keep track of that is nice. It's something they seem to have forgotten to put on here. I'm going to show you here. This is the character sheet that I used when in the playtest version. You can see you got all your attributes here, including size. You have your attack scores, efficiency scores, total health, current health, temporary health. A nice little bit here, but also classes. You have the class and the specialization. Specialization is extremely important in this version because, well, everybody has a subclass. Usually you pick up your subclass within the first 2 or 3 levels. But, yeah, like, every single person has a subclass. So having what specialization you are written down is extremely helpful for the DM. I, for example, am the only member of my campaign that has the book. So, be like, oh, what specialization do you get? Well, fuck, what are you? You're a cleric. There are 30 different types of clerics. Which one are you? Do you remember? Okay, let's double check. You have... Let me flip over to the clerics page for a second. Like, oh, you have the war priest passive. That means you're a war domain. Okay, that's great. But what if you're a tempest? Well, you have Wreath of the Storm. Okay, you could probably compare Storm and Tempest, but it's not a jump to thing. Or if you're a monk, for example, you get stuff like... Let me flip to the monk page. At level 1, you could get stuff like Shadow Arts, Discipline of Fire, or way of, let's see, open hand technique. Like, there are things that you can get to them and they'll make sense, but that's a lot of looking for no reason, really. But anyway, as you can see, this is the list I use, but we're going to get out of that and use the official version. Now, as you can see here, inspiration. Inspiration's a new concept that they've added, which basically says, hey, you should probably be role-playing your character. Basically, the way inspiration works is that if the DM sees you playing your character the way your character was supposed to be played, for example, if you're a thief and you steal something, the DM can give you inspiration. In the book, it says that it implies that the DM should only give inspiration when you take a flaw. But personally, I mean, if you're playing your character, if you have a good side of your character, you should get inspiration for that because you're playing your character. It doesn't matter. It's like, oh, well, I'm gonna run away from the party because there's $5 over there. No, it's even the good things like I'm gonna give up, like I'm going to give to the poor or something. Like the good things should get it too, but we'll get into that later. Proficiency bonus. Proficiency bonus is their to-hit change. The way proficiency bonus works is what you're good at, and you get better at over time. We'll go into that a little more later. But, as you can see here, you have saving throws and skills. They've changed the saving throws from the 3 basic stupid ones. Yes, I know a lot of people aren't going to like it when I say they're stupid, but you had 3, out of your 6 stacks, you had 3 ways to get rid of things, or dodge. Yeah, that's just dumb. Now you have a saving throw for each of them. Not only does this count for your saving throws, such as trying to think of an easy way to say it. Not only does this count as your saving throws, such as, oh, are you strong enough to hold this guy off, but also in your skill rolls, which we'll go after later. As you can see to the circle, or the circles on the sides, these circles on the sides are you proficient with it? And then the little box here, you'll add your modifier. So let's say you have a strength of 14, you get a +2 strength modifier. So you'd have +2 strength, and then let's say you're proficient in it and you have a +6 proficiency, you'd be rolling +8 on saving throws versus strength. Then when you move down here for your skills, it's like, okay, so athletics. If you have a proficiency in that, well, you still get that +2 from your strength. So as I was saying, not only are you having your saving throws, but you also have your skills and your empty skills too. However, do be aware the skill list is much smaller than it used to be. They used to have pages worth of skills. Now it's down to a handful of things that kind of overlap everything else. Sleight of hand goes into like lock picking and pickpocketing and all those old things. Do be careful with the intelligence ones when you're looking at them because they're kind of, at least in my experience, they've really been kind of overlapped. For example, religion and arcana, nature and arcana, or nature and religion, history and arcana. Like, they all kind of overlap in different things. Like, oh, look at this. I've got an intelligence check. What type of creature is this? I'm gonna roll. Well, you could use nature to find out it's a dragon, arcana to find out it's a dragon, religion maybe to find out if it's a dragon. History could probably tell you it's a dragon. Yeah, there's a lot of things that could tell you whether or not it's a dragon or not. So it's just kind of one of those weird ones. As you can see, armor class, initiative, your speed, hit point maximum, your current, your temporary, the total number of hit dice, and what hit dice you have. This is kind of one of those odd ones because, again, if you're going to cross-class, you'd want more. Because if you have 3d8 plus 4d12, 10s, I've typed it. Well, yeah, you have enough room for that, but your hit dice, how many do you have left? Well, you only have 1d8, and you only have 2d10. You could type that there, but as you can see, things get smaller as you do it. A lot of people like to have capital D's going on. And it's like it's just really tight. You could do it, but it's pushing it. The same with the class level. If you're a barbarian, that's misspelled, I think. Level 12, and a cleric, level 13. It squishes it all in, so you could do it, but the more you do it, the smaller it gets. It's just inconvenient. Let's see. Your special, like your age, hair, height, eyes, weight, color, all that stuff is down here on the second page, along with your character's appearance, your organizations, some additional features, treasures you might have picked up, a little bit of your backstory. The second page is pretty much just your flavor, which isn't a bad idea all the time. Sometimes, but then you have spellcasting, like your spell page. Now, one nice thing that they've done with the spell page is if you have the printed versions, they've pretty much made it so that you could print off multiple spell pages, and it's like, oh, well, what spellcasting class? Well, if you're a cleric, you have this page, and then on your next page you have paladin or druid or whatever, and that way you can separate your spells by class. And as you can see here, you have your spell slot totals and how many you've expanded for the day. You type in your spells. Now, do be aware that for a wizard, this spell list is really small. Also for clerics and druids, and paladins, I guess, this spell list is also pretty small. Instead, what you'll want to do if you're one of those classes is just have a copy of the player's handbook or a cut from it or something that has your full spell list so that you can prepare them each day. But we'll go into a little bit more of what you can do with the prepared spells section when you get there. Yeah. Also, cantrips, the new level or the level 0 spells, can be cast infinitely. Pretty much meaning you never run out of spells, although you do run out of your powerful spells. But we'll get into that a little later. So now, I'm going to show you this. Sorry it's a little blurry. I took this picture with my phone and used paint to invert it. But this is the ability score summary for the different abilities and for the different races. It has a little bit of what this stat measures and who it's important for, and the races that it increases. Do note that you have stuff like Stout Halfling, Rock Gnome, Hill Dwarf, Wood Elf. Those are sub-races. We'll get into that when we make the character in a moment. Here is the character random height and weight chart. If you're going to make one, might as well use it. And the class that here's a class brief. It includes hit dice, the primary ability, the saving throw proficiencies, and the armor and weapon proficiencies. As well as a small little flavor nice text. And as you can see here, you have the Rangers. This is the Ranger 1 to 20 build block. We're going to be using this because I'm going to be making a Ranger with this character. So, let's actually go ahead and do that. I'm going to use the name Zareth. Zareth was my playtest character. He lasted throughout the entirety of the playtest. So, he sounds like a good guy to use. As we said, we're going to be making a Ranger at level 1. We're not going to go into the backgrounds yet. We'll do that after all this. Player name. No sanity. Race. We were just talking about race. Let's pick something small. Thinking halflings. Yeah, let's make a halfling. That could be fun. We're not going to pick the alignments yet. And experience points obviously are at 0. Now, one thing that I'm going to do real quick here is roll my attribute dice real quick. Since I already have my race selected, I don't like, or my race and my class selected. It's nice to get those numbers out. What I'm going to be doing is rolling 2d6 plus 6. It's a way I've been using for a while, which pretty much guarantees that everybody will have at least median stats. Like, well, yeah, with 2d6 plus 6, the minimum you can get is 8. And that's if both your dice roll a 1. At the same time, it's much more likely for you to get stuff like 16s, 17s, 18s. I'm actually getting some pretty good dice here, so I do apologize about not having rolled these previously, but okay, so we look back here. We're playing a ranger, so our important skills are dexterity and wisdom. This is because we have we have wisdom-based spells from the druid tree and dexterity ranged attacks. You could also use dexterity as the finesse, which we'll get into later. Real quick, as a ranger, I have a saving throw proficiency in strength and dexterity. So let's go ahead and do that with strength and dexterity. And let's see here. Other proficiencies. We have light and medium armor, shields, simple, and martial weapons. So light and medium armor, shields, simple martial weapons. Pretty much everything except for heavy armor. Not a big deal. Okay, so I'm going to use my highest roll with my dexterity. Nice little 17 there. Constitution, I'm going to use one of my a next higher roll. Let's see here. With a 14. Wisdom, I'm going to use the other 14. Strength, I'm going to use my lowest roll, which is an 11. And for both my intelligence and my charisma, I have the exact same roll of 7. So those both come up to a 13. Now, I'm not sure if I have to, like, I shouldn't have to show everybody the list for, actually, I don't even think I have it prepared to show anybody. But the list for ability score translation, it's -5 at 1. It goes all the way up to +10 at 30 with every 2. So 2 and 3 are 4, 4 and 5 are -3, 6 and 7 are -2, 8 and 9 are -1, 10 and 11 are average at 0. So got a +3 here, got a +2 here, got a +2 here, and then 2 +1. And using that, we can take that and just add that to all this. So strength is a 0, dexterity's +3, constitution's +2, intelligence +1, wisdom +2, charisma +1, blah blah blah, into infinitum. But we're also a halfling. So let's look at some of the halfling traits. Now, the halfling traits are dexterity increased by 2. Well, that's a really nice number. Jumps my dexterity to 19 and also increases my ability score. Yeah, age, alignment, those are all nice things. Halflings are a small-sized creature. They are about 3 feet and about 40 pounds on average. They have a speed of 25, and you get to choose a sub-race. The sub-race I'm going to choose is Stout. Stouts have a constitution increase of 1. Now, constitution increase of 1 hits me at 15, which does not raise my constitution modifier. Now, at the same time, I can go down through here with all these as well. So, animal handling is wisdom. That's weird. Arcana's not in there. I'm not even going to ask about that. Whoever put this together, just a couple of, like, it's one of those things that's okay, but it's just a little weird when you're bouncing around with random tabs instead of being in one direction. Now, one thing you might notice is there is no charisma saving skill, or charisma skill, because charisma is HP and saving throws only. There are a few skills that you could make using charisma. For example, if you wanted to do a water campaign, a water breathing or holding breath skill would be a charisma skill, but that is something that the DM would have to make up or make on his own. Okay, so as a level 1 ranger, we have a 1d10 hit dice. So we have 1d10 total for health. I'm gonna roll that real quick. Well, that's lame. So, adding my Constitution modifier and my D10, I have 6 HP. I mean, I guess it could be worse for first level. Now, one thing that they do have is on your first level, you don't actually have to roll. I made all my characters roll for it, but according to the book, if you read it, on your first level, it's your Constitution modifier plus your full level. So, in that case, we'd make a 12 instead. So that's pretty much up to your DM. In all my book or all my campaigns, it has been your first character gets the free max dice, but all your subsequential characters get a full roll on their dice. Basically, just due to the fact that you're not level 1 anymore, so you're rolling 4 or 5 dice at a time. But again, that's up to the person. So we're going to go over here to do the features and traits real quick. Add in some of the halfling traits, such as lucky. You get to re-roll once. There's a lot more into it. I'm not going to be adding to these. I'm just going to kind of be given a little bit of a brief on them. Do feel free to pick up the book and read it if you want to know what the full descriptions are. For example, lucky, basically you re-roll any one you get on a d20. Attack rolls, ability rolls, saving throws, but you can only roll it once and you must take the second time. Brave, you have an advantage against being frightened. So brave, you get an advantage against spirits. Pretty self-common there. Halfling nimble. You can move through the space any creature that is yours that is larger than you. So one thing that is kind of a little bad here is you are seeing Just plain and simple. These things are small and there's not put together. I'm not going to pull it up because that would just cause a lot of problems. But if you looked back at the beginning, the character sheet I said that I was using previously before this one, each of the proficiencies and features had their own little thing. It was kind of one of those, well, we ran out of feature boxes, but your features got kept together. So, yeah. And I said I was a scout, so I have an advantage against poisons and a resistance to poison damage. So, scout resilience. Advantage versus poison, and resistance. That's not how that's spelled, is it? Yeah, it is. Now, resistance in this game is half damage. So, if a stout halfling will take half the amount of damage from poison attacks. So, that's kind of one of those nice things. Okay. Here you see passive perception. Passive skills are kind of your not paying attention skill. They were added as kind of a, trying to think of how to describe it. They were added as a way for the DM to not have to make players roll every 5 minutes for things that the player or the DM might not want the player to think that something might be out there. For example, one thing that might have happened a lot if you've ever played before is, oh, you're just walking down the street. Do me a favor and roll a D20 or a D20 or a D100 to find out what's going to happen. Well, sometimes you don't want that. Sometimes you will just oh, your character might see it if you have a wisdom of 105. You might see that giant hole in the road. But if you didn't, you might not have paid attention. So the new way the passive works out, and I'm going to write it down here real quick. Let me that. Okay, I'm gonna just write it here real quick. So the way that passive skills, passive perception is the one that they're really big about, but passive skills in general are all. So what you have is 10 plus all modifiers. Meaning, if right now it is, that's bad. Meaning right now it's 10 plus 2. And if, say, let's see here, Rangers, do I get perception as a ranger? I believe so. Let me double check that. Rangers, as a skill, can get perception. Yes, as one of their skills. So if I take perception as a skill, I'd then have my proficiency modifier, which proficiency bonus for level 1 is 2. So then it'd be plus 2, making a total of 14 passive perception. I mean, so basically, if the DM doesn't want you to roll for it, or if, for example, you're not paying attention, your perception is 14. However, if you have an advantage for some reason, you gain 5. So advantage is plus 5. Disadvantage is minus 5 to that number. So if it's raining, for example, well, you're going to get a minus 5 to your passive perception. if, say, you're a druid and you're in your animal form and you have the ability to smell something, then you're going to get the +5. I mean, it's pretty much like up to the, like, it's going to take a little bit of finagling and lawyering to figure that out pure depth. But in general, it's a nice little skill that pretty much allows you to not have to involve the player so much in things that you don't want to involve them in, such as attacking them. It is kind of one of those funny little things where I have been in groups where an experienced D&D player won't do this, but I've been in a group where, oh, you're going through the jungle, do me a favor and roll a d20, and one of the players will roll the d20, and the other players will be like, wait, something's out here. They'll be like, okay, we're gonna try to perceive what's out here. Or like you're in a dungeon, and they're like, oh, we're gonna look for traps. Well, you're only looking for traps because you just rolled to figure out if you tripped a trap. So no, you can't do that. So this one, you pretty much, did you trip the trap, or do you notice the trap? Nope. Okay, you don't notice it, you just walk on by. So, yeah. Anyway. Now, we're going to start working on the class now. As the class says, Ranger, you can see from this list, at level 1, Rangers get favored enemies and Natural Explorer. So, favored enemy and Natural Explorer. We will also be going through that we've already done hit points. We've already done proficiencies and saving throws. As a skill, you can choose 3 from Animal Handling, Athletics, Insight, Investigation, Nature, Perception, Stealth, and Survival. I'm going to give it to Stealth and Survival because why not? Now, favored enemy does not give you additional damage. Anybody who used to play it, it doesn't give an additional damage anymore. Instead, favored enemy gives you the ability to speak their language and gives you the ability to have an advantage on survival checks to track that enemy, as well as intelligence checks to recall information about them. So, for example, if, let's say, I throw down Dragon. So I have an advantage so yeah, I have an advantage on tracking dragons and an advantage on int checks versus dragons. Favored enemies are able to be celestials, beasts, constructs, aberrations, dragons, elemental, fae, fiends, giants, monstrosities, oozes, plants, or undead. Humanoid creatures you choose by the race, and you can choose 1 or 2 of them for every favored enemy. So orcs, gnolls, humans, halflings, dwarfs, elves, blah blah blah. You get additional favored enemies as you level up. Now, for Natural Explorer, you can choose 1 type of favored terrain, such as Arctic, coast, desert, forest, grasslands, mountains, or swamps. We're going to choose forests. In forests, while traveling through your favored terrain, you gain difficult terrain doesn't slow you. You cannot become lost except by magical means. Even when you're engaged in other activities while traveling, such as foraging, navigating, tracking, you remain alert to danger, which gives you a perception advantage. When you forage, you find twice as much food as normal. While tracking other creatures, also learn their or when tracking other creatures, you learn their exact numbers, their sizes, and how long ago they passed. And at level 6 and level 10, you can choose new favored terrains. So instead of going through what it does, I'm going to say page number 91. So at page number 91, it has a list of things that this gives me. Now, as far as a level 1, that's about as far as it goes for a level 1 ranger. Rangers, when they hit level 3, choose their archetypes, which are their subclass. You have the Hunter archetype, which chooses to be good at attacking different types of creatures, or you have the Beastmaster archetype, which has a pet. So yeah, it's about as far as we are so far. We haven't picked any ages or anything like that. Let's do that. So if we use the random information, we are a halfling. Got a 2 and a 4 on 2d4. So 6 inches more. So I'm 3'11". No, 3'1". Why am I 3'11"? That would be dumb. So 3'1", with a weight of 41 pounds. Now, it doesn't have age here, but so see, halflings mature at 20, I believe. Yes, so we'll just say he's 26. And flavor this up a little bit. He has blue eyes. Man, I'm really bad at spelling today. Bright silver skin, and let's make it purple. Purple hair. So basically, he's gonna look like a shiny idiot. But we can go through here and be like, oh, there was a lab explosion and his skin was tainted purple or silver. His hair was bleached purple and his eyes are, well, he was probably more blue eyes. That's not a big deal. Now, gonna move on a little bit to the backgrounds. Now, backgrounds are kind of important, and I'll get to why as I'm describing them. Let's see. As a ranger, let's go with the hermit background. Different backgrounds offer different things. Hermit, for example, offers skills in medicine and religion. So we get skills, medicine, religion. It gives him a tool proficiency in a herbalism kit. Actually, where are the languages? Huh, another thing that's missing. Oh no, it's here. Sorry. Halfling, common, dragon. Hermit gives you an extra language, so let's go with elf. As well as Hermit gives you a scroll case, stuffed with notes, a winter blanket, common clothes, and an herbalism kit, as well as 5 gold coins. Now, roll our dice real quick. Yeah. No, 5 of them. I need one more. Okay. So as a hermit, his personality is I retreated. Man, I suck at spelling today. Retreated from society after a life-altering event. His ideal. Let's see here. Oh no, that's his life seclusion. Sorry about that. That's the wrong thing. I feel dumb now. There's no place to put that there, so I'll just put that down in character backstory. Huh. I can't cut that. Oop. Can I? No. Okay, so his life of seclusion, which is why he left, was because he retreated from after a life-altering event. Another thing the other character sheet had place for. His personality trait is I am utterly serene even in the face of disaster. His ideals are really okay, whatever the dice says. His ideals are power. So, solitude and contemplation are paths towards mystical or magical powers. Now, with this, he gets the evil alignment. So, that leaves open chaotic and lawful. As if you look through the ideals, many of the ideals will have at least one alignment set to them. So, let's go KO. Chaotic evil, always one of the funner ones. His bonds is that's a pretty good one. If his discovery comes to light, it could bring ruin to the world. And his flaw is I like keeping he likes keeping secrets and won't share them with anyone. So we can see a pretty good character coming out of this now. Armor class currently is 14, plus 4 dexterity modifier, plus a base of 10. I'm not gonna add an initiative. I don't do initiative. I in my games I always roll party-based initiative, so none of that comes into play anyway. Now, as far as money goes, you could there are multiple ways you could do this. For example, with Ranger, let's actually just go back to the Ranger page and take one of these. There is actually a list. Well, here you could take a Ranger is 44 times 10 gold pieces as your starting currency. You could also do here's 150 plus some gear. Or you have the equipment list. So a Ranger could have scale mail or leather armor. Where is armor? There's no place for armor on here. Seriously? There's no place for armor in this? Okay. That's a little disappointing. It's one of those things, you always want to keep your armor a little bit different so that you can trade it out easily. But so for armor, we're going to go with leather armor. We're going to take some short swords, which it cuts off. What? That one cuts off? We're going to take short swords. We're going to take a explorer's pack. And we're going to take a longbow. Now, all of this is in the, this is actually part of the Ranger's build guide, so you can look at that when you get a chance. Leather armor is 1 plus full dex, so your armor class turns to a 15. Short swords are, what are they, a D... D6 for a short sword. Sorry. This is not the column this is supposed to go into, but they don't actually have a place for it, so like damage and type here. Like that's not a good place to put that. Short swords are piercing. So their damage type is piercing. They are fine weapons, and you have 2 of them. Longbows are 1d8, also piercing, and 20 arrows, or 20 ammunition. Yeah. Here you can use here are your death saves and failures if you don't know what those are. When you hit 0, instead of going to -10, you either fail or save dying. It's kind of self-explanatory. Now, as far as spellcasting goes, this is actually a pretty bad class to show how spellcasting works, because I don't get them that early, but let's pretend that this is a cleric. So, no, let's not cleric. Let's pretend sorcerer. So, sorcerers get to pick cantrips when they start off. Let me actually change those pages real quick. So, a sorcerer, not counting its type, starts off with 4 cantrips. So at level 1 you have 4 cantrips. Sorcerer's cantrips include things such as Acid Splash, Blade Warding, Chilling Touch, Dancing Lights, Light, Firebolt, Mage Hand, Mending. So let's pick 4 of those real quick. So let's start off with Mending, in case our bow breaks. Mage Hands, to pick up the arrows that get stuck in trees so we don't have to climb the fuckers. Prestidigitation, which if you don't know what that is, Prestidigitation is basically the, well, in spellcasting there are 2 spells. Actually, there are 3 spells. You have the Druid spell, Druid Crafting, the Clerical spell, Thaumaturgy, and the Sorcerer, Warlock, and Wizard spell, Prestidigitation, which are basically the we use magic, fuck off. For example, Thaumaturgy, your eyes glow, you can make lights and slam doors and blow wind and make thunder. Kind of the my god is mad at you sound. Druid Crafting, you can make plants grow. I am one with nature stuff. With Prestidigitation, basically you can do magic tricks with real magic. Like what you would see on the street. Like, oh, pick a card, any card. Boom! I use real magic. It also does have some uses, such as like, you can use it to make things float a little bit, kind of like Mage Hands or Unseen Servant, but to an extremely limited degree. Yeah. And we'll go into that a little later, maybe. And for the final cantrip, we'll actually take a weapon, or an attack. We'll take Firebolts. You can never not have like, Firebolts are nice. Now, you only have level 1 spells at first, obviously. You have 2 slots known, or 2 spell slots, and 2 level 1 spells. There's a long list of sorcerer level 1 spells, so I'm going to kind of give some of the stuff you normally would take at level 1. Or stuff I normally take at level 1. So, let's get a Detect Magic. Might as well have that prepared. So we have Detect Magic now, and Magic Missile. Using this, basically, the way this works is you have these 2 spells prepared. You can cast Detect Magic twice, you can cast Magic Missile twice. Later on, when you get a level 2 spell, you can cast Magic Missile as a level 2 spell. Magic Missile right now is a 3 times 1d4 plus 1. And then it's also plus 1d4 plus 1. Actually, that's a... There we go. Per spell level over 1. So if I cast a Magic Missile as a level 9 spell, I'd get 3 times 1d4 plus 1d4 times spell level greater than 1. So at level 9, I'd get 3d4 plus 8d4, all plus 1 to each one, and I'd have that many darts, which is 11. So 11d4 plus 11, or 11d4 plus 1 each if they hit different targets. Yeah. So, also, one thing that's to note is, even if, like, let's say I get a level 4 spell. A level 4 sorceress spell, Dimension Door. And I have that prepared. I only have 1 level 4 slot. I can still cast that Magic Missile as that level 4 slot. It will remove my ability to cast Dimension Door, even though I have it prepared, but it does give me an extremely powerful Magic Missile. So, that's a small brief of how the magic system works currently. Should probably go into this a little bit. Here you have your spellcasting ability. Your spellcasting ability is slightly different for each spellcaster, and when you do it, it will actually say it like what it is. So, for example, Sorcerer, which we're talking about, is spell save DC is equal to 8 plus proc bone. That's a bad thing to say. Your proficiency bonus plus your charisma mod. Your spell attack modifier is equal to your proficiency plus your charisma mod. So, yes, spell attack bonus is proficiency plus charisma mod. The charisma is 13 with a modifier of 1 and a bonus of 2. So our spell attack bonus is plus 3. Our spell save is 11. Sorry about that. Which gives our spellcasting ability level 1. Or, yeah. Actually, no, 1 second. That's stupid of me. The spell casting ability should actually be, like, it says it weird in the book, and it shouldn't be here as spell casting ability. The spell casting ability should be 8 plus your charisma modifier without your proficiency bonus, which for us is 9. Now, when you take this up and kind of look at it, it does look a little bit disjolted. When you attack with a spell, you still have to roll a d20. So you'll end up rolling a d20 plus 3, and your result must pass armor class the same as normal hitting. With the spell save bonus, this basically means that, well, of course, if you cast poison on them, they have to roll a d11 or an 11 on a d20 to get out of it. The reason you have both a 9 and an 11 is because you have a proficiency. You can use arcane focuses as a sorcerer. So arcane focuses could include a magical symbol, a components bag, a spell book, blah blah blah. And when you cast without a focus, you cast at 9. When you cast with a focus, you gain a proficiency to the cast, and the DC check is at 11. The same with your spell attack bonus. If you cast, it should be 1 plus 3 or plus 2 if you use a focus. Yeah. I'm going to upload this page right here, or this video right here, as D&D Vanilla. I'm going to make another one where I go through and show you how to use it using the page that I have been using in a little more detail, because honestly I can just do a little more detail with that. But here is a vanilla Dungeons & Dragons character. You can totally use this character in a game right now. Actually, this is if you made a halfling ranger who was also a hermit, there's a pretty good chance that this might be what you rolled. So I'm going to go ahead and end this video, and I'll make the other one using I'll use another class race combination to kind of show you those, and I'm also going to be using the other character sheet to show you how that works. So I'll see you in a few minutes.